Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm Jonathan, and joining me tonight is James. What's going on, James?
Nothing much. I'm just hot in the shade.
Yes, because James got a copy of one of his favorite Kiss albums this week, and he purchased it with a pretty smart tactic, I will say, because, James, what was the price of that album?
$44.99. I got it for only $5.62.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got it for, I'm going to say, almost 90% off.
Thanks to gift cards, trading in old shit, and a 10% discount on the membership card. So I was able to get this album with a lot of Kiss songs I like on it. You know, Rise to It, Betrayed, Hide Your Heart, my personal all-time favorite Kiss song. Read My Body is okay. I kind of like it in the silly, cheesy kind of way, like 60s Batman. It's kind of in a funny, silly, stupid way. Little Caesar, the only song done by the greatest drummer, in my opinion, Eric Carr, rest in peace. That, and of course, Forever, which is the band's first top 10 hit since Beth. And it was non-makeup era. You can see they're also wearing sunglasses, no makeup on the faces. There's no Catman makeup on Eric, Fox makeup on Eric, and Demon on Gene, and Star Child on Paul, and Bruce never had makeup because he joined after they took him off. And then he left when they put the makeup back on, so...
But since this is not a Kiss podcast, we will move into what happened with Spider-Man this week. We need to start this show by retracting something that we said in our previous episode, because it turned out to be false. In the previous episode, we did a little spoiler section where we talked about some movie news that was potentially very spoilerific, and it turned out that news was completely 100% fake.
It was the Cleveland Browns. Shit.
So it turns out...
Are we surprised there's always rumors with movies that turn out to be bullshit? We should have learned a lesson like any other person to not wait until there's some official confirmation.
Yeah, we really shouldn't have spoken about it because we should have been prepared for this, but we were not in the best decision-making mindset, so we said, let's talk about it.
I had a really shitty night at work, so I was just like, fuck it, whatever.
So we were like, let's talk about it, and so we did, and it backfired, because that's how life works.
She is not the daughter of Vulture.
Yes, the fake news was that Zendaya was the daughter of the Vulture, and...
But if you notice, if you go back and watch what I said, I kind of pointed holes at that theory, remember?
Yes,
I kind of poked the biggest hole of, if she's going to be a big deal in sequels, that doesn't make no sense if she's going to be Vulture's daughter. Because he's important for this movie. He's probably not going to be important for sequels.
So, yeah, we fell for fake news. Sorry. We issue an official apology.
I don't think we don't got an apology. We're not the person who spread the rumor online.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the person who should be apologizing, is the person who spread that rumor. You know what? You took advantage of us in our vulnerable state. How could you? You are pathetic, sir.
Why were you looking right at the camera at our audience when you said that? Do you think that guy's going to watch our show like, yes, they fell for it?
Well, James, if he does watch this show...
He's the same guy who hacked onto our message board that one day and spread the porn?
That is still one of
his revenge.
That is still one of my favorite episodes. We spent the entire episode trying to clean up. At the time, we had a website with a message board on it. And this guy just kept posting spam porn to it, and so we spent the entire...
Do you want to tell him my immortal line that's still you quote, and I'm sure if like Jan and not Thomas and Jacob were still on the show, they too would say it was a great moment. My iconic immortal line for that episode about that guy,
no,
about
James,
how he's a waste of breath or something like that.
James, I couldn't do that line nearly as well as you could.
He spent the whole time for hours posting new threads about porn links on a Spider-Man message board when they were live doing a podcast. You don't have a life if that's your idea of a fun Saturday night. I'm sorry.
It was not a Saturday night. It was a Saturday afternoon. I remember that part. It was like 3 in the afternoon. We were doing the podcast, and while we were recording, that was happening.
I still say that's one of my favorite eras of the show. Was when it was me, you, Jacob, and Jan. And that's one of the reasons why, is because that episode right there. And then there's also episode where me and Jacob walked off because we were totally uncomfortable talking to you and Jan about the Spider-Man boner in Korea.
But you know what, James? We will move past. We will move on from the past. We will bring it back to the present, and we will actually look to the future. Because we got some really cool Spider-Man news this week. Because E3 happened, and there's a Spider-Man game coming out next year by Insomniac, and it looks good. It looks really good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a gamer, so the chances of me buying this game or ever playing this game are about, I'm gonna say 11%.
Do you own a PlayStation?
I have never owned a PlayStation of any kind in my entire life.
Then the chance that you playing this game is 0% because it's only on PlayStation.
Well, I could buy a PlayStation.
You would spend almost $400 on a console and this game.
Probably not. But I could in theory.
So it's 0%.
But I could in theory. I could.
But will you?
I refer you to my previous answer of there's about an 11% chance.
I'm going to refer to you to say bullshit and it's 0. We'll see. This time next year, we'll see who's right.
Listeners, we're going to count on you. This time next year, someone needs to ask the question, did John buy a PS4 and the Spider-Man game? The answer will probably be no. But yes, we got the Spider-Man gameplay footage. It was about 9 minutes of footage, and we saw a pretty good example of what... Well, okay, maybe not a pretty good example, but we saw some semblance of what the story is. Spider-Man's obviously fighting villains like the Kingpin and Mr. Negative.
He wasn't fighting Kingpin, John.
Well, he's interacting with Kingpin. Thank you, James.
Okay, I know it's a video game, so I'm sure it's just the gameplay causing it, but you got a problem with the fact that Spider-Man openly kills a lot of people in this game?
No, okay, the developers...
Like, no way it's around it, he kills people?
The developers came out and said that Spider-Man does not kill people. Whenever you see him throw someone off a roof, they're fine.
John, he hits them with full force with metal beams.
And according to the game developers, they get right back up and they go home to their families.
Fucking horseshit.
I'm not kidding you.
This is like in the Batman game, where you could be in the Batmobile, and I think it's Arkham, either Arkham Origins or Arkham Knight, where you could drive around the Batmobile and run fuckers over, but yet supposedly they're not dead. When you're blowing them up with missiles in the Batmobile.
Yeah, it turns out that no one dies in this game, even though it's very obvious from the fact that Spider-Man pretty much... What he does to them...
If you stood where you were in a building and a fucking metal beam that's heavy enough because it's supposed to support a fucking building comes at 100, 200 miles per hour at your face, you're dead.
But according to the game developers, no, I'm not. Apparently I get right back up. But yes, we got the gameplay footage. We got to see more of Spider-Man's new suit, which some people are mixed about.
I hate it. It's that white spider. It doesn't mix with this suit.
I don't mind it. I'll be honest with you. I don't mind it.
I mind it.
Well, you know what, James? I mind you. I don't know what that means. I just said that, and I don't know what that means.
Congratulations, John. You made yourself sound like a total dweeb on the podcast.
Wow, James, that's almost like every other podcast we've ever done.
That's not true. Thomas was the original dweeb.
Yes, and then he left, and I had to pick up his slack. Thanks, Thomas.
Oh, then Jan came on, and then Jan left, and now you had to pick up Jan's thing.
So thanks, Thomas and Jan. Now I have to pick up your slack. Well, you know what?
Excuse me. I'm going on Facebook to tell Jan, congratulations, you're no longer the dweeb of the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see how well that goes. Let's see. What were we even talking about? Oh yeah, the gameplay footage. So Spider-Man fights Mr. Negative's demon henchman.
You're a bullcrap. I just messaged that to Jan.
Cool. Spider-Man fights Mr. Negative's demon henchman, and he discovers that Mr. Negative is Martin Lee, all that good stuff. He's talking to the Kingpin.
He said not much. I said, hey, Jan, what's up? Congratulations, you're no longer the dweeb on the podcast. He goes, not much, you?
I love how he doesn't acknowledge the fact that you partially insulted him.
And then he goes, no, not much with me, though. I'm just taking summer classes and waiting for Spider-Man Homecoming. You know, same old stuff. How about you? Question mark.
Jan, I must issue a public apology for the fact that James is reading your conversation out loud to the entire internet. I'm sorry.
It's not like he's telling me classified information.
Still, James, those are privileged communications between you and your friend. Anyway, man, we're getting sidetracked a lot, but that's okay. So, James, what did you think of this gameplay footage? I mean, we've given a brief description of it. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. Just go look up Spider-Man gameplay demo or whatever. I'm sure you can find it. But, James, what did you think of this gameplay footage?
It kind of unnerved me, you know, the killing guys part, to be honest. And I they're killing guys. I'm just not going to go around it. Yeah, he said LOL when I called you a dweeb.
Thanks, Jan. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
So anyways, yeah, you know, that part made me really uncomfortable. Aw, he said you guys are really still damn cool for still doing the show. Thanks, Jan.
Thanks, Jan.
But anyways, back to actually what's my review of the goddamn game controllers. It looks really good. It looks like Arkham. I like those games, so it looks like it's a Spider-Man version of the Arkham games. I'm not really sure about the fact that Spider-Man has like a Bluetooth hookup to the cops, because the whole thing with Spider-Man is kind of like the cops hate him. So that part kind of weirded me out. At first, saying her name, I swear he was talking to Suri and he was on an iPhone.
No, he's talking to Yuri Watanabe, you know, the Wraith from the comics.
I get that. But it's still weird, the whole fact that it's kind of like they're trying to do the whole Batman Commissioner Gordon thing with him and her, and it feels kind of weird with Spider-Man. If it would have been Jean DeWolf, I think I would have been more, you know, okay with it.
Yeah, but I think they're definitely trying to go for like the Brand New Day, Dan Slott, big time era vibe with this game. I get the feeling.
I'm still not a fan of this costume. I hope that you can change skins, because this fucker's going back to his regular costume with the black suit. There's no way around it.
All right, James. But any other thoughts?
You know, it's going to be really good. I hope. You know, it looks like it could be really good. I'm not going to comment like some idiots who are saying that the movie's the game's not mocking the 9/11 trailer, because it's probably just a case of the game developers thought this was a really cool idea to end a level. And then some fans, you know, boys jumped on it on the message board, and now it's a bigger deal than it ever should be.
But will you buy this game, James? Is this something that you will purchase?
I might rent it from like the video store to see if I like it first. But I'm like that with most video games, unless it's something like a franchise I know I like, you know, Madden football or something like that, where I buy it annually. It takes me a while to, you know, actually plop in money to get a game. Because, you know, that's $60 out of my pocket I have to give, you know.
As for me, here's the thing.
For a guy who's trying to save up to get his own apartment, you know, every dollar you can get, you know.
As for me, I will say that the game looks really good. I probably won't buy it, though. Like, it looks really great. The graphics look great. The voice acting is pretty solid. The story looks interesting. I probably won't buy the game, though. It's just straight up, I probably won't buy it because I don't have a PlayStation, and I'm not going to buy a PlayStation just for one game. So, for anyone who does buy the game, tell me how it is, because I'm sure it'll be great. But I'm not going to buy it, and I have no interest in buying it. So, I'm positive towards the gameplay footage, but I'm not going to buy a PlayStation just to buy one game. All right, but we will move on from the gameplay footage into Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows #8. This comic came out this week. Just as a little preview of what's coming up. Before we get started here, as a little preview, next week we have Peter Parker: The Spectacular Spider-Man #1 by Chip Zdarsky and Adam Kubert. So that will be reviewed next week, and then the following week is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, #29, which is the beginning of the Secret Empire tie-in, which we will review on that show. And then the week after is Movie Week, so we'll review the movie, and then so we've got pretty much the next 3 weeks where the show's pretty locked in and set, which is good. But for now, we have Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows #8, and of course later James will have a review of Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider #3, which I'm sure will be amazing, because that's my favorite episode of the month, when James reviews Scarlet Spider, because it's always funny.
It's always the whole "where's my alcohol?"
Alright, but we got Jerry Conway and Ryan Stegman are the storytellers, Jesus Abertoff is the colorist, VC's Joe Caramagna is the letterer, Allison Stock, assistant editor, and Darren Shan is the editor. This issue is titled The Venom Solution. So this issue begins with the Spider family, or what is supposedly the Spider family, battling Mysterio below the streets of New York. And Spider-Man is basically trying to beat the crap out of Mysterio, while MJ is trying to get Annie out from being crushed by a subway car, but it turns out that that's not actually Annie, and it's just a Mysterio illusion. But Mary Jane doesn't know that, and so she picks the subway car up and throws it at Mysterio. Speaking of Spider characters killing people, James, that really should have killed Mysterio, because I'm pretty sure you don't survive being hit by a subway car. But yeah, so
It's an illusion. It wasn't a real subway car.
Oh no, it was a real subway car, James. Look at this. That was a real subway car.
Well, it wasn't really him getting hit. There's 1,000 ways out of it with Mysterio. You get that right, John. Next appearance, hey, why aren't you injured? It wasn't me, it was an illusion. It was an optical illusion. That's all you gotta say with Mysterio.
Yeah, so then MJ realizes that Annie was an illusion, and Peter's like, yeah, I knew that. That's why I didn't bother. That's why I just kept punching him. And MJ was like, oh my gosh.
Let me guess, he knew because Spider-Sense?
He knew just because he's like, it's Mysterio. I just assume everything is an illusion until it's proven not to be.
No, I know, I've read this comic, but I'm asking you, do you think that he should have probably made a Spider-Sense reference? Because just saying, well, it is, Mysterio, it's probably just an illusion. What if it was the one time he actually did kidnap your daughter?
Well, that'd be unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe if he said, I could sense the Spider-Sense, it wasn't really her, that would have been cool, I thought.
So Mary Jane's like, oh my gosh, I ruined everything. I screwed up the mission. And Peter's like, you've been at this for 2 weeks. Give yourself a break. You're not a pro yet.
And that's the pot calling the kettle black suit.
Yeah, so Peter's like, look, it's fine. It's no big deal. You've been at this for a few weeks only. I've been at this for years. We're at very different experience levels.
We've at different experience levels, like I'm a man and you're a woman. Peter, what? Did you just say what I think you just said? I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight. Oh, yeah.
Okay, James, anyone who decides to direct hate mail to us, that is James right there. He said that. I do not condone that viewpoint.
Me making Peter look like a jerk is not my point of view, John. I hope you understand that. I hope our audience knows that.
Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow does not endorse sexism.
It was a joke about Spider-Man being that way. That was all it was, John. Relax. Take a deep breath. It's not like it's Hank Pym.
And moving on from that.
Oh, what? According to you, the comics referenced that like 1,000 times this last week, so...
Yeah, Secret Empire. That's the big part of Secret Empire #4. But yeah, so Spider-Man's like, yeah, look, Mary Jane, it's fine. We're just at different places. And so MJ's like, okay, you're making dinner tonight, right? Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll totally make dinner. And so Normie Osborn is making progress on Project MG, which is meant to restore the Osborn name to greatness. Meanwhile, Liz Allen goes on basically... Liz Allen goes on not CNN to talk about her company's advancements in organic biotechnologies. Meanwhile, MJ is at her fashion clothing store, basically moping about the fact that she's holding Peter back and she feels bad about it and she wants to prove herself. So she sees Liz on not CNN and she goes over there and she's like, "You're trying to unleash untapped human potential? I want some of that." She's like, "Okay, here's this suit that I'm not going to tell you what it is. Like, I'm not going to give you all the details or anything. I'm just going to say, yeah, this is a suit that has never been tested and the government won't let us test, so we need an off-the-books test subject, and you're going to you're going to fall for it, aren't you?" Yep, because it turns out to be the symbiote, and so she bonds with it. She goes, stops a robbery, and she's like, "Man, that was all me. Ha." So she goes to bed that night completely exhausted, and she has a nightmare about Venom taking Annie, taking down Peter, and basically, taking down her as well, essentially. And she wakes up on the bottom of a bridge, which I'm going to say I really think this is a missed opportunity to do one of those upside-down web-hanging things that the cartoon did and the Spider-Man 3 movie did. I'm just going to say that was a missed opportunity to have her wake up from that and not be hanging upside down from a web. But she falls into the river below, and some two guys on a boat see her fall in. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what happened to her?" And she jumps back out as basically Venom. And so Peter wakes up the next morning at 7 a.m., and he goes into the kitchen and finds MJ and Annie eating breakfast, and MJ is basically raving about pancakes and how great pancakes are. And it's kind of weird, and Peter's like, "MJ, are you okay?" And she's like, "I've never felt better in my life." Dun, dun, dun. To be continued next issue, when basically, yeah, nothing's ever good when Venom comes in. So, James, what did you think of this issue?
Give me a second.
Aw, James is texting someone who's not me.
It's one of my friends. He went on vacation and he got me a souvenir. He wants to know if he can come over to give it to me. I said in an hour because I'm doing a podcast.
Oh, James prioritizes me over his other friend.
No, it's because we're in the middle of it and I don't want to be a dick move on you.
James, what did you think of Renew Your Vows number 8?
It's very dumb of Mary Jane. Especially since it's the fucking black suit. Granted, she doesn't know it's the black suit. I get that. But it's the fucking black suit. It's the suit that's... I know it's not the same continuity, but it's the suit that scared the living fuck out of her. You know what I mean? It tried to eat you and your daughter in the original Renew Your Vows storyline. So I like it, though, how it's not going to be Peter... It's... No, what am I trying to say? I can't speak right now. Peter, it's kind of going to be like the different, like the shoot's going to be on the other foot instead of Mary Jane being there for him when he's doing, black suit shit. It's going to be reversed now with her. So I kind of like that idea. So that's pretty cool. The rest of the storyline, Liz being a supervillain, I just don't get this with the comics that are recently. She was never much really villain until 5 years ago. She could be a bitch at times, but she wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is kind of a weird twist that they've done with this character. Is like, oh yeah, let's make her the antagonist.
Especially with Homecoming. I don't think Homecoming is going to reveal that Liz Allen is secretly the evil villain this whole time. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, Liz Allen turns out to be the Vulture's daughter.
That could actually be kind of interesting, though, because in the comics, they could be a cool kind of twist on the whole her brother being Multiman. Only here it's her father being Vulture.
Oh gosh, James, did we just figure out the movie?
No, I just said that'd be something that they could do. I never said that's what I would want to see.
Watch that be the plot of the movie now. But any other thoughts, James? Do you give this issue a thumbs up, sideways, down?
Not very much less to say. You know, the Mysterio thing, like I said, there's some plot holes. I feel like, you know, the whole idea of Spider-Man's like, yeah, it's Mysterio, so it's assuming it wasn't really our daughter. That's why kids like beating the shit out of him. It's like, Peter, what if this is the one time it really was your daughter? She's dead. I mean, you're right. But as a father, I would think you wouldn't take the chance. And like I said, it's the pot calling the kettle black suit.
What exactly do you mean by that, James?
It's a pun, you know, the pot calling the kettle black, but since they're both dealing with the Venom symbiote here, it's the pot calling the kettle black suit. Because he's telling Mary Jane, when she's all like, it's all my fault, he's like, oh, grow up, you big baby, you know what I mean? And it's like, Peter, that's you every other fucking issue, in any continuity. Hypocrite.
Alright, James, but up, sideways, down.
I would give it a thumbs, like, not sideways, not thumb up, but somewhere in the middle.
I would agree with the somewhere in the middle of up and sideways. Like, it's a good comic. It's just very much a part one. It's like...
It's setting up the team.
Yeah, it's like, it's setting up what the real story is. I question whether or not Mary Jane would really be dumb enough to fall for the Venom symbiote, but I'll admit, James made a good point about, you know, it being reverse of, instead of MJ helping Peter with the black suit, now it's him helping her. So I do like that twist, and I think that could be a really interesting story. The artwork by Ryan Stegman and Jesus Aburtov is really good. I think the artwork on this book, just in general, is really strong. The Normie Osborn subplot continues to intrigue me. I'm interested to see where they're going with this. If they actually, I'm sure they're going to turn him into a goblin. But it's like, I'm wondering exactly like what his plan is for the Parker family. I don't
know why. I'm just doing the Spider-Man hand thing while you're doing the review. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm just going like this at the camera.
I agree with James about Liz Allen and her not CNN interview being a little bit weird, and her, you know, it's you know, it is kind of weird seeing Liz portrayed as such a villain after so many years of her being, you know, a supporting character and you know, Harry Osborn's wife, and you know, she became, you know, she took a much more active role in Oscorp after Harry's death and all this stuff. So I guess maybe it's a PSA against, I don't know, getting involved with Osborns, I guess. It just turns you evil. Oh gosh, what are you laughing at, James?
John asked me, how do I feel about Spider-Man Homecoming? And then I just unleashed everything I have ever said to you onto him in one massive Facebook post. And he's like, wow, I'm not there, but wow. No. I said I made John mad with these comments. You guys can relate now.
You didn't make me mad. I mean, everyone is allowed to have their opinion. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny that we disagree so much. But, what was I even talking about? Oh, yeah, but overall, I think it's a good issue. It's a good part one. I'll give it somewhere between a thumbs up and a thumbs sideways. It's got a lot of potential. I'm really excited for the next issue, and this is a really good arc here, I think. I think this has the potential to be a really good arc. So, there's a lot of promise in this comic. A lot of promise. So now, James, let's get to what everyone's been waiting for. Every month, this is the best part of the show. Every single month. Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, number 3. Basically, this is where James roasts the comic mercilessly.
I don't roast it, because I actually am having fun with this book, if you can believe it or not.
Yes, because it's so bad, it's really good.
The issue begins with Spider-Man getting a phone call from Rita, and he's all like, he's talking to Mobster Lady, and then the phone keeps on, vibrating, and it keeps on going off of Rita. And they're talking, and they're like, uh-huh, bzz, bzz, uh-huh. I need a Genesis.
What is a Genesis?
I just realized I said the word wrong. I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to think of it. Genesis. Do you know what the word I'm thinking of? The guy who did genetics.
Geneticist.
Geneticist. Thank you. He's like, we need a geneticist. She goes, you got one in your mind? He goes, nope. I was just telling you what we need, but I have no fucking clue where one is. And she's like, where do you think I'm going to find one? And then Ben's like, you're a mobster who likes blackmailing. I'm sure you could find somebody. She goes, oh yeah, about that. And then the big bald mobster guy gives Ben Riley a shot in the neck. Doesn't warn off his spider sense. And it turns out she watched a Suicide Squad movie because she told him that it was a tracking device. And if he gets 100 feet away from the city, kaboom. So Ben goes, okay, that's cool, but can I please just go take this phone call? It's kind of a girl I know. And she's like, okay, you can leave. And then the bald guy's like, he totally fell for it. There's no bomb in there. Yeah, but he doesn't know that we know there isn't a bomb in there. So Ben goes walking around the casino, and he's like an episode of Friends, he's like, they don't know that I know that they don't know that I know about that it's not really a tracking device because of spider sense.
So the spider sense is able to warn him against bullshit, but it's not able to warn him against being stabbed in the neck.
The best thing is when he gets the shot, Ben's reaction is, dude, what the fuck? He doesn't say what the fuck. I think it's what the hell, but still, it's like, dude, what the fuck? in the whole all ages comic book, he says, what the hell? But I think if it was real life, he'd be like, dude, what the fuck? So he's walking around the casino, and then he recognizes Mandy, a.k.a. the redheaded chick who looks like Mary Jane. So I think it's not a coincidence now. I think they're setting her up as Ben's MJ. He's like, so, you got the $50? And she's like, no. He goes, you didn't spend it on the casino? She goes, no, I had an audition. What? Because I'm an actress/dancer here in the shows in Vegas.
Oh, for gosh sake.
She's an actress, and she's a redhead, and her name starts with an M.
Could you hammer this into the ground anymore?
And then while this is going on, you see that Rita's like, Rita was being like, helicoptered by Ben in issue 2. Remember the whole waterboarding thing that I shed on? So the call happens, Ben's talking to her, and the gunmen who are shooting Scarlet Spider, Kane, were sent by Ben. Kane escapes, web swings, and they shoot his web. And they go, he's going to go back to the doctor, so we'll just meet him there. Even though Rita already escaped. Thanks to help to some homeless guy. I think his name was like Terry or something like that, or Ryan or something like that. So yeah, that's going on. But back to the whole thing with the not Mary Jane. She's like, hey, aren't you one of those guys? And then some Spider-Man cosplayers ran into the casino to make a scene. And then they're talking, and they're all like, and everybody stares like, what the fuck? And then the one guy says to the guy in the Scarlet Spider suit goes to the guy in the actual Spider-Man costume, goes, dude, they can't hear you because the voice is being muffled with the mask. Oh! And then he says that they want the lady who has a sick daughter, who's the mobster. Big bald dude comes out, chokes the Spider-Man guy, snaps his neck, then snaps the neck of the guy dressed up as Spider-Man 29 and says, tell me what I want to know or I'll kill you. And then he threatens everybody in the casino that they didn't see him do that.
I'm pretty sure
they all just ignore him.
I was like, I'm pretty sure they did see him do that.
No, he told them, you better not say you saw that. So he threatens to snap all their necks so they tell the cops. And the guy's like, she's a mobster. And he goes, I know. But how the fuck do you know that? He goes, because I have contacts. Tell me or I'm going to murder you. And then right before he can, the guy in the Scarlet Spider shoots silly string at him. So the guy gets ready to pop his neck, and then Ben Riley shows up and is like, not a my day, bitch! And he, beats the fuck out of the fucker. Turns out the one who's dressed up as Spider-Man 29 is not dead, just was choked out. They run out of the casino. Ben fights the bald dude. They have some classic Spider-Man bald dude, like Kingpin moments. So I guess this guy's the new Kingpin. Ben goes, yeah, we're going to have a rivalry, and he kicks him right in front of Aunt June, who asks him for more quarters, please. Because that's the running gag with her in these books. And then Ben goes, he meets the guys in the cosplay suits. They're all like, dude, you're Spider-Man. He's like, no, I'm the Scarlet Spider. They're like, the OG original Scarlet Spider from the 90s? He's like, yep, totally, same guy. They go, your new costume sucks. This one's better. This one makes you look like Spider-Side with the whole mouth thing. And Ben's like, what the fuck? Are you calling out my brilliance? Dan fucking Slott came up with me, coming back to life. And then Peter David wrote me. And Mark Bagley, Ultimate Spider-Man, he drew me like this. So fuck you. But yeah, you're right. Take off your pants. I'm not kidding you. That's basically what happened. The guy's like, but what? He's like, take off your clothes now. And then Ben Reilly swings away, calling the guy a jerk in the classic suit. The end. To be continued, a fight between Kane and Ben Reilly.
So, James, what did you think of that issue?
Oh, hi, Ben. This is just becoming the room. It is such a comedy gold. I love it.
Would you give it a thumbs up? Sideways? Down? Sideways? Oh, in between. Oh, it's going up. James really liked this issue.
Because it's so bad, it's good. It's like it's like a car wreck. It's like enjoying a car wreck. You just can't turn your eyes away from it. You know it's shit and it's horrible, but you can't stop staring at it.
All right, James. That's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about, so any final shout-outs, James?
Again, shout out to Kiss, Hot in the Shade. This album's awesome. I recommend this album for people. It has 15 songs, and about 50% of them are shit. I agree with that, but the songs that are good, I think, are really good. So yeah, shout out to that. Shout out to the guys in the band at the time, because 2 of them are no longer, in the band, because one of them is no longer with us. So, Eric Carr, you're still my favorite drummer. Rest in peace, man. Bruce, you're no longer in the band, but you're still a pretty awesome, cool dude. And, of course, Gene and Paul, who's been in the band since day one. So, yeah, shout out to those guys, which is weird because it's not a Kiss podcast. But then again, another Kiss fact, Gene Simmons doing this in concerts, the rock sign, he got it from Doctor Strange and Spider-Man because he grew up a big comic book nerd and still is. He claims he has a collection of every issue of Archie ever.
All right, my shout-out this week, Marvel Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Jerry Conway, Ryan Stegman, Peter David, and Mark Bagley. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the comics we reviewed this week.
I got one shout-out.
Oh, one more shout-out from James.
Shout-out to that random guy I bumped into today at FYE who was wearing the Cody Rhodes American Nightmare shirt, because Cody Rhodes is a member of the Bullet Club, and AJ Styles is a former leader of the Bullet Club. So when he saw me wearing this hat and I saw him wearing that shirt, we just nodded at each other doing the Too Sweet sign at each other, the group sign in wrestling. So it's kind of cool. It's nodding like your shirt, like your hat. Too sweet.
All right.
So it's like that tip of the hat thing you see in those old cowboy movies, but only was it wrestling fans going.
Other shout-outs, Secret Empire number 4. I enjoyed that this week.
It sounds like it was garbage.
Yeah, well, you know what, James?
Your Browns suck, I know. Hey, John, what happened to your Cavs? Lost in 5 games. Huh? Couldn't do it in 7? 1 championship in 50 years for the whole state.
Thanks, James. All right, let's end.
Speaking of Kiss, your city sucks for no reason, because how the hell do you keep this band out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for so many fucking years, then when you finally put it on, you don't let Eric in with them. Rest in peace. You don't let Bruce in with them. You don't let Vinnie Vincent. Vinnie Vincent was a dick, but he still deserved to be in the band. Mark St. John, rest in peace. Tommy Fair, Eric Singer. Fuck you, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and fuck you, Cleveland. The city, not the people in it. People in it, I'm sure, are pretty cool.
Well, on that note, my apologies to the city of Cleveland, and
so, AKA apologies to John.
And we will see you all next week for Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man number 1.
I want to clarify that I said I'm sure the people in the city are cool. It just fuck the city.
And on that note, thank you all for tuning in. Love you, Cleveland.